What?
On its way. Hey, you, come on, sit down. You're sitting at the grown-ups table. I'm your host, Jesse Pimpinella, and as always, my partner in crime.
John Jacobs.
Thank you so much, and a happy Wednesday to all to you. We are back. Thank you so much. We've been on hiatus a little bit. We've had a lot of things going on right now. I'm in the middle of pre-production for my comedy special, Spooky, which will be filmed October 14th at the Funny Farm Comedy Club in Youngstown, Ohio. And if you haven't gotten tickets for that yet, get tickets for that, all right? Today, we are going to be talking about Paul Reubens, a.k.a. Pee Wee Herman. Like I said, last week we all saw the news, and it was kind of a shocker because from what I remember reading the article, it was like he was fighting cancer from behind the scenes and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And that's been like hitting some celebrities like crazy. They've been like hiding and trying to fight it, and it's always heartbreaking. Like to the point where I didn't even get through Norm Macdonald's last comedy special because
I couldn't either, man. I can't watch. I was like, I can't watch this. Like
he was filming that thinking he was gonna be dead the next day, and it's just like, and then now he is dead.
Yeah,
it's just like, oh man. So now it's like Pee Wee Herman, man, and Pee Wee Herman, man. It was and I say Pee Wee Herman because like I always felt like that was his. Because he's been doing that character since the Groundlings.
The character was him, and he was the character.
Yes.
Paul Reubens was a part of Pee Wee just as much as Pee Wee was a part of Paul Reubens. They were two different people, but then they were the same person. And you don't find a whole lot of entertainers that can do that. Now, there's plenty of examples, sure. But there aren't many examples of ones that the line is so blurred that you could refer to the person as either or, and everybody knows who you're talking about without asking any questions whatsoever. It's, oh, yeah. And there aren't very many entertainers that can do that. Like I said, there are dual personality entertainers for sure, but not to the degree that Pee Wee, in a way, became the person. And even when Paul was in other roles, whether it was a starring role or supporting role or a cameo role, you're like, oh, it's Pee Wee. You always said it was Pee Wee instead of it's Paul. It's Pee Wee. And there just aren't that many entertainers that were able to do that to that degree.
Not at all. Like I remember watching Dustin Checks In, Mystery Men.
The spleen in Mystery Men was fucking awesome. I really wanted, at the end, I would love to have had like a deleted scene or an alternate ending or something where he finally got to hook up with the bowler, because that's all he tried to do the whole movie. And it's like
that angle, man.
He was working it every time, man. It's like, we couldn't give him one at the end, you know.
Well, Paul Reubens always been the charmer because him as Pee Wee. He used to appear on the dating show, which I thought was hilarious, and he used to win sometimes, which I'm like.
And that just goes back to my point of the entertainer and the character blurring their lines. I mean, the dude would show up as Pee Wee in non-Pee Wee things, and it was okay. You were like, oh, cool, it's Pee Wee. You know, like it was awesome. And again, you just can't really name another entertainer that's been able to get it to that degree, to that high level, to where it truly is blurred that way.
Yeah, no. And he was really a true original. Like a lot of his humor was very unlike anything we've ever seen. Because like while it was like a kid host show, it didn't feel like a kid show host. Like there was something, and I'm using the wrong word, like a fringe, like an edge to it all. Yeah, I mean there was something that had something was not being done elsewhere was being done for him. I mean,
yes.
Look at his show. I mean, a little known fact, not a lot of people know this. Phil Hartman, who is probably one of the greatest sketch comics of all time, God rest his soul, wrote the movie with him and the TV show. He stayed on the show for one season before he went to SNL. And like, I remember when I was rewatching Pee Wee Herman's Big Adventure, and I was like, wait, Phil Hartman?
Yeah.
Phil Hartman.
Yeah. He and Phil were really good friends back in the early 80s, man.
I had no clue about that. It's so weird when you find these like weird relationships.
Yeah.
Like I never knew Judd Apatow and Ben Stiller were friends. And then it was like, oh, look in the 90s. All their projects were together. I'm like, get the fuck out. They were? And I'm like, and so it's like, it's kind of crazy when you find these like weird connections with certain celebrities.
It makes me think about like what would have happened if we would have saw Pee Wee on SNL, and not just as a guest, but as a cast member, or perhaps somebody like Alec Baldwin who just drops in for a quarter season here and there, drops in for a cameo here and there. But what if we had Pee Wee in SNL in those 90s years where, and everybody says, oh, SNL sucks now, it's not funny. Okay, look, it just depends on when you were born. If you were alive when it debuted, that was when it was funny for you. If you were like me and you were a teenager in the 90s, that's when it was funny for you. Like, it just depends on when you watched it. As when you were like in your prime of comedy and understanding things, you're going to say that that was the best era. But truly, if we had Pee Wee showing up on SNL, man, that would have been legendary. Think of the skits that they could have done with Pee Wee throughout the years. Like, just getting him and Chris Farley in a skit together would have just been incredible, man.
Well,
Incredible.
I think he was on SNL a few times though.
No, but I'm talking about someone who's a cast member, or somebody who is on the show more than just a host here and there. Somebody
Yeah.
who is a part of the show.
Yeah. No, but anyways, like I said, his show just like it had this weird. It was really weird. That was the
Yeah.
thing I think was so great about it.
Yeah.
Like it was just a super. It was just so odd. Like I'm looking at this one picture right now, and I love this picture on. So let me put this picture up, and it's just like, to me, it was just very. I remember when I was watching episodes as a kid, like on reruns. I'm not sure what it was on. I think it was like TBS Superstation. It was called Superstation. Like,
Yeah, when it started at the 5 after.
the five
That shit
after.
was so
Yeah.
annoying, man. Like, come on, Ted
Like, I
Turner.
was,
What the
like,
hell?
I was tweeting. I was messaging you this morning, and I was like, yeah, I said TBS Superstation. I think at one point, or I deleted because my chat wasn't figuring
No,
out.
I saw it. I saw it. You said Superstation, but the thing is like, the funny thing is your Superstation experience was totally different than mine. My Superstation experience was full of Hanna-Barbera cartoons and
Yeah.
like cool ass shit. By the time you came about on this world, Superstation had morphed into every other cable channel, TNT, whatever,
Oh
Wasn't
yeah,
the same. It wasn't the same, man. It wasn't the same as when TBS first came around, man. I was
no,
there for that.
but it's like, look at this picture. This picture is just very unconventional.
Well, it's also later in the Pee Wee's Playhouse season 2. You can tell by the helmet. He didn't start wearing the helmet, I think, until season 2 or 3. And that's because of the whole image, right? Is that kids are watching this. It needs to be kid friendly. This is when bike helmets had a really huge push with kids. And so they wanted to make sure that people were being safe. Very similar to how they went out of their way to show you that they were buckling the seatbelts in the Batmobile. The same concept.
Oh my God.
They wanted the kids to know that it was okay and it was cool, like Pee Wee's helmet, to wear a helmet, because so many kids didn't want to wear a helmet. Oh, this is stupid. I look like a loser. I look like a nerd. So they wanted to make it cool for kids to wear helmets.
Yeah. No, I definitely get that, and I definitely see that now. I didn't realize that's what the intention was.
Hey, we got a comment from our friend Dan Brown.
Oh my
Actually, a
God.
couple of comments from Dan. I'm pretty jealous of the shit he's putting in our chat right now.
Oh man, hold on. Why am I not getting any of the comments here? This is odd.
Are you making sure that you're watching the feed from the Facebook and not the YouTube? Because you won't see the Facebook comments if you're watching the YouTube feed on your phone.
No. I have an alternative feed for StreamYard where I pull it.
Oh, okay, yeah. So I'm just watching our feed from the show.
What does he say? I apologize.
So
everybody.
it's all right. So he saw the Pee Wee Broadway show in 2010 in New York City, which I am so jealous of. I am not a theater or stage type fan, but I would go see that shit in a heartbeat. So I am very jealous of that. And Dan also met Paul Reubens in person, which I'm also jealous of. I've met many celebrities, but I always wish that I could meet my man Pee Wee, and unfortunately, it's never going to happen now.
Yeah, that's pretty cool, man. That's awesome. Now the other thing about him is just like he had this energy to him, and
Oh, Dan's making a joke. He never met him.
oh, sorry.
He's making the infamous theater joke. Dan, you pulled one over on me. I believed you on that. Got us both, man. Bazinga.
Yeah, I believed him. I totally believed him right there. Now let's talk a little bit about his history and stuff like that. And so Paul Reubens, besides being Pee Wee, made his movie debut in 1980. And you know what movie it was by any chance?
I don't, man. Hit me with it. Hit me.
The Not So Sweet Hotel Employee and Cheech and Chong's next movie.
Wait a minute, sir. Hold on a second. I have seen that movie many times.
Yep. I have the video here to prove it, but I'm too afraid to.
You know, now that I'm typing it up to try to prove you wrong, and it just hit me in my head. You're absolutely correct. Yes.
Yep.
I did not know that was his debut, though.
Yeah.
Cheech and Chong's next movie is great for the first half, kind of the second half, but it is in fact my second favorite Cheech and Chong film. So I had to think for a second, but yeah, you're absolutely correct. I did not know that was his inaugural acting role, though.
Yeah, no, I was definitely, and like that was the time where like, and that was a time where character comedy was really huge. I mean, speaking of them talking character comedy, I mean, Cheech and Chong, even though those aren't characters, they or they literally became their characters. But yeah, I mean, they played larger than life versions of themselves on screen. So it's kind of interesting that was one of his first movies that he was in. But yeah, no, another thing that he did was well, first, since we're going to be talking about movies, we should talk about the thing that actually many people believe kickstarted Tim Burton's career. And I didn't know this until I read about it. Like everybody says that this was kind of the movie that put Tim Burton on the map. And when you think about it, it makes a lot of sense.
Well, that was also, if I'm not mistaken, his first directing a full length major motion picture was Pee Wee's Big Adventure.
Was it his debut?
I'm pretty sure it was. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure it was.
Yeah, but anyways, but like that movie was amazing. I because it has this magic to it.
Yeah, it was like Pee Wee's Big Adventure. That was his number one. That's what got Tim Burton into the career that he has now. Was Pee Wee's Big Adventure.
And like I feel like those two were a good collaboration on that because like Tim Burton loves kind of making like kind of these weird, kind of like strange like things. And Paul Reubens had a character who, I mean, it's not weird, but he is kind of weird, but he's like, but there's like a certain magic to him. There's something that like is infectious about that character that you just want to hang around him. Because like, I mean, his house looks cool. I mean, listen, whether you ride a bike or not, you've got to admit that bike is awesome as shit.
Oh, right? Dude, and look, man, I was around for this movie. You were still like DNA in a ball sack. So, I got to experience this when it was current. And when I tell you that every kid wanted that bike, And when I watch it now, it's like I look at it and I'm like, this is kind of ridiculous. You can tell that the production team just slapped shit onto this old Schwinn or whatever. I think that it was modeled off. But then I'm like, no, don't think that. This bike is dope. And then I look at the bike, I'm like, oh my God, I want that. I want the chain pockets. I want the lion on the front. I want the ejecto seat. I want the removable handle. I fucking want it all. The smoke, everything. And then I'm like, I want this bike. I'm 42 and I still want the bike,
It's because nostalgia is not a bad way to put it with loving this bike. I mean, because it's magic. It's magic in a bottle. This movie itself, in my opinion, was lightning in a bottle.
Absolutely. 100%.
There's just something about it. Like, like imagine if we lived in a world where Pee Wee Herman has not existed. We don't know anything about Pee Wee Herman. You put this movie on paper, I don't think it gets made.
Well, people wouldn't understand it,
That's
and
what I mean. That's what I mean.
they
Like
wouldn't get it. And the
that's
thing is,
that's how infectious and how amazing his personality
yeah,
is and
no,
character
I
was. Sorry, I
agree.
didn't cut you off. I didn't mean to cut you
No,
off.
you're good. So my daughter's about to turn 12 in October, and we did a huge Pee Wee run, years ago. We watched, and this is before fucking Apple took Pee Wee's Big Adventure and whomever took the television series. All this shit was either on Amazon or Netflix. I forget which one. So we watched through everything, and she loved Pee Wee. She loved Pee Wee the way I did when I was her age watching Pee Wee's Playhouse. Um, and it was it's hard to describe it because it was like, okay, here I am, of this generation, and I experienced Pee-wee when it was, live and fresh and new. Now here we are, what, 3 generations later, yeah, with my daughter, and she's having the same experience without ever knowing anything about Pee-wee or who Pee-wee is or anything before this, and she immediately accepted it. There was no period of this guy's stupid. What's his deal? What's going on? I don't understand. It was immediately an acceptance of this is Pee Wee and he entertains me and I like him. And there was never another question about it. It was an instant acceptance. And when I saw that, like, that light bulb went off on my head and I was like, that's my experience. And that's every kid I know's experience. Not one person I know, and I'm not saying this as an assertion of every living human being in the world, but
No,
I'm just
no,
saying
yeah.
within my bubble of being 8 years old in the mid '80s, no one didn't accept Pee Wee. My parents accepted Pee Wee. I remember watching Pee Wee's Big Adventure and my dad cracking up during the bar scene when Pee Wee does the tequila dance. Like, he thought that shit was hilarious. But that's the thing, is even in that scene, we accepted Pee Wee because the town accepted Pee Wee. Everybody accepted Pee Wee because that was Pee Wee, and everybody liked Pee Wee, and Pee Wee did this, and Pee Wee did this, until Francis stole his bike, causing Pee Wee to blow a microchip and travel the nation looking for his bike. And you just accepted all of that. There was never a question about it. You
I think,
can't write a character in a film like that nowadays. It doesn't happen.
and
It does not happen.
someone made a post on TikTok, and I wish I had kept the video. I'm so mad I don't have the TikTok because I would love it. It was like Pee Wee was Pee Wee was a man's man who just demanded respect. As soon as he figured out his ride was taken by Francis, he walked right through his door, right to his pool. Like, he got right down to business. There was no lottie dying, and he was like, "All right, this guy's got it." He ambushed in the pool, and it's
Oh, well,
like,
that was like the meme that I posted, where it was like Pee Wee was a gangster because when someone stole his bike, he
yeah, yeah,
ran up
yeah,
to the neighbor's house and tried to drown him. And I'm like, that's Pee Wee, man. He didn't. And like, he knocks on the door, and fucking Odd Job answers the door, and he's like, I want to see Francis. Like, he's so pissed off,
yeah. So
and he
yeah.
doesn't care that Odd Job is staring at him, ready to beat the shit out of him. And he's like, he's busy. He's like, busy doing what? Like, he is ready to go, man. He wants his bike back, dude. And I remember, like, when we're kids, we all have an experience like that. A friend takes something, or we leave something, or something happens. You're like, I want to see him now, like, and it was just, dude, it was just great. I love that whole scene. Is just so perfect, from the way it's shot, from the way it's edited. Like, that whole scene of him going into Francis's house is just fucking beautiful, man.
It's a cool sequence from a comedy beat
Yeah,
angle.
yeah,
Just because like it hits these nice beats, and again, like I said, like a lot of this, it doesn't feel like it should work, but it works
right.
so. I think that's what's so magical about this movie.
Yeah,
It's that we are seeing something. We're seeing it work,
yeah.
and I think that anytime, that's when you know you have something. When you
Agreed.
can't duplicate it, you can't replicate it, you can't do anything. It exists. Here it is. If you want it, this is the only source where you're gonna get it. Because like
Right.
after this, like I never felt like there was another like character comedy like Pee Wee. Like
I
honestly,
mean,
I
I'm
don't
I mean, I'm
feel like
trying
there
to
is.
think, and
I don't feel like there is. Like, I can't think
Not
of
on that level, like I said
not
at
on
the
that level.
beginning, not on that level to where like there's a scene like well when Francis runs into Pee Wee, not by accident, when he's talking about his birthday and he wants his bike. And he's telling the story about when he and Pee Wee were younger growing up, and Pee Wee first got his bike and he was jealous of it then. So that tells you that this town has accepted Pee Wee from the beginning. Now, we don't know about Pee Wee's family. Has he always been a loner? Did he have a family? Did they die? Did they move away? Is that his house? Did he move? We don't know anything about Pee Wee's background at all, but we accept Pee Wee in this town. Everybody accepts Pee Wee. It's normal. It's not, and it's presented to you straight up. It's not surreal, it's not abstract, it's real. Like it's just this is Pee Wee. He lives here, and we're going to go on this adventure with him. And you're going to just accept that this is Pee Wee, and you're good with it, and you are
And
like,
that's
and
and
that's
that's what's
it.
brilliant about
That's it, and that's why it works because they take it seriously enough to where you just believe that this is Pee Wee doing Pee Wee stuff, and I'm about to go on the ride with him.
it. Yeah. No, I couldn't agree more with you because, like, I mean, he is a force of nature, and it's in himself, like in just who he is, and we just believe this is who he is. Like you don't question, like, oh, where did Bugs Bunny come from? When how
Right,
did he start
right.
talking? How did what's this animal? We just know that when we go into this world, this is a
Pee
character.
Wee. It's
It is
Pee Wee. He's living in this world, and we're going to go on some type of
I
adventure
don't
with him.
need to, yeah. And again, it's just that larger than life personality that he has. It's so amazing. And that movie was it was anarchy. That movie, especially the ending. The ending was anarchy. I love how they have the who they cast as Pee Wee at the very end of the movie. I can't remember who.
Oh, what was that dude's name? PW.
Yeah, like, and then you see Pee Wee, he's playing the wait.
Paging Mr. Herman. Mr. Herman, you have a
Wait,
telephone call to front
that's an
desk.
interesting meta joke I just thought of because
What?
Pee Wee was playing a front desk clerk, right?
Right.
Which was Paul Reubens' first role in that was his movie debut. And
Ah, good catch.
oh,
Good catch. Good catch.
ooh, I just thought of that. I just thought of that. It was interesting. What a really interesting little meta treat that is. That Pee Wee's first movie debut is Paul Reubens' first debut in
I
a
was
in a movie about a larger than life comedy icon. That is like that's deliciously meta in every single way possible, and I love it.
man, it's crazy looking through here and just seeing all the people that were in this. Like, and that's the other thing too, is that like dude, Pee Wee's show was huge, right? And so when they made this movie, it was a big deal because Pee Wee had already gotten the prestige and the respect for the show. And so it was like, okay, now we're going to do a film. But if you watch the original show, which I was actually just watching, it's on HBO Max. Check it out. Oh, I'm sorry, Max now. Check it out. Um, and as I was watching it, you get a much better understanding of how well he and Tim Burton collabed to do Big Adventure because the Pee Wee in Big Adventure is definitely not the Pee Wee in the stage show, which is also not 100% the Pee Wee we see in Playhouse, but Pee Wee's Playhouse is closer to the stage show than Pee Wee's Playhouse is to Pee Wee's Big Adventure, but I think that's okay because Big Adventure is for everybody. And
Yeah,
I'm not saying Pee Wee's Playhouse isn't for everybody, but it was specifically designed for kids. Whereas Pee Wee's Big Adventure was just like whoever comes to see this sees it. Kids can see it, adults can see it, doesn't matter, right?
I mean,
And I think that that distinction between kind of the Pee Wee stage show and Pee Wee's Playhouse versus the Pee Wee films is also good because it's not 100% the same character, and I like that. I like that there's a little difference to it. And look, someone's probably going to crucify me, but Pee Wee's Big Adventure is really the only one I like of the three films. Um, Big Holiday was great. It was a love letter. It was a good send off to the character. I appreciated the hell out of it. I love Joe Manganiello in that. I love the whole root beer barrels thing. All that stuff was great, but it just doesn't deliver the way Big Adventure does. And I'm going to tell you right now, Big Top Pee Wee that's out of the ballpark for me. I tried to watch that the other day, and I think I got maybe 15 to 20 minutes through,
Well, the problem,
and I couldn't figure out, was it Pee Wee a time traveler? Did he time travel back into the past to Little House on the Prairie? Because
I
that's where it looked like he was living.
I saw that so long ago, and it was that even I think I watched it again recently. I know I told you TV it was on TBS one time, but I think it was also on Pluto TV for a short period of time, and it was kind of confusing. But also that movie was kind of like spare parts, kind of because
You can tell, and you can tell. You
you
can
could tell
tell.
because the script for the first movie was based on was like a light kind of like what James Cameron did to Dances with Wolves. Pee Wee was going to take a story and kind of adapt it as a Pee Wee movie. Pollyanna, or something like that. I can't remember what it's called.
Oh yeah, Pollyanna, I believe is what it is.
Yeah. That was what they originally were going to do, but then they decided to go with Big Adventure, and then they scrapped parts uh, from that movie to the next movie. And yeah, you could kind of tell the movie feels very segmented. It doesn't even. I mean, don't get me wrong. I mean, but I feel like Pee Wee's Big Adventure, while it does have its segments, they're linked together very nicely. Like
I agree.
they're like pearls on a necklace. Yeah, you're like, okay, here it is. Here it is. Okay.
And also, PW was actually played by James Brolin.
James Brolin. Jesus. I thought it was I had a feeling it was a Brolin, and for some reason I was thinking Josh. Or like Josh is too young. It could not have been.
But in all defense, though, I will say, if you look at, let's say Josh Brolin in Planet Terror, okay, and then look at James Brolin in Pee Wee's Big Adventure, I don't think they look alike. Like, I'm just gonna say it. When they're relatively the same age, they both have long hair. I don't think they look alike all that much. I think they look very
No,
different.
no. It's for me. It's the eye squint they kind of do.
Sure. I get what you're saying.
It's the eyes. But I
Yeah.
agree with you. No doubt in the world. Like I was watching the original Amityville Horror, and
Oh
like
yeah, man. There you go.
yeah, if you put the sunglasses on, I would not see any relations to him and
Yeah.
Josh Brolin. But then when you see the eyes, you're like, oh, there it is. Like even when I watch Thanos, I'm like, oh, that's James Brolin's son. Those
Oh
eyes.
yeah. I mean, complete with the ball chin and everything.
Yeah,
So.
it's the eyes. It's the eyes right there. Man.
Right.
It's piercing. But anyways, so yeah, so this movie got made, and then we, like I said, we had the other two movies that came out, and like you said, the third one was a love letter. I did appreciate it. I didn't think it was. It was kind of like
It was Clerks 3. It was Clerks 3, just Pee Wee. That's
yeah,
what it was.
it was that. I think it was like I would even go as far as saying like it was like Rocky 5, where Rocky 6. So Rocky 6, where he's like, hey, look, sorry about Rocky 5. You know, sorry, I'm sorry.
We'll make it up to you. We'll make it up to you. Buy another ticket. We'll make it up to you.
We'll close this out on a high note. Make sure everybody's okay.
Like, I love it.
That's how I felt about it.
The informal apology, like we'll fix it. We're not apologizing, but we'll fix it.
We'll fix it. We're just gonna move forward, and hopefully,
there you go. Just moving forward.
We're just moving forward. We're moving forward. That was when like Judd Apatow had his hands on everything because I think he even had produced that as well.
I think he did too.
Yeah, he was producing comedies left and right, man. But anyways, going back to Pee Wee. So, like I said, so we talked a lot about the character. We talked about how he has his own movie and all that stuff, and like. But here's a couple of interesting facts about this before we transition more into Paul Reubens and the rest of his acting career. Did you know the Pee Wee bike was sold on eBay?
No way. I thought it was in a museum, so I could have sworn.
In 2014, an original bike. So there probably is many bikes.
I'm sure they had hero bikes and background bikes. And
yeah.
Roy, all that type of stuff. But yeah. I thought it was in a museum.
So probably the one that like got rode the most, used the most. That's probably in a museum.
Okay.
It's kind of like, but it's kind of like when people. It's kind of like what is it? The Michael Myers masks. Like those are put away, but also the guy who played him recently has his version of every mask. So
Yeah, of course he walks off with one of them. I
you're always
mean,
gonna walk
what?
off.
Like,
Right. Yeah. Anyways, what do you think it went for on eBay?
oh, fuck. And what year?
2014.
Oh, I mean, it's got to be six figures. I don't think it went for $1 million, but it's got to be six figures. I'm just gonna throw out and say $250,000, 250.
Quarter of a mil. Quarter of a mil. I'm gonna wait. I'm gonna let people join in. So, like I said, what do you think Pee Wee's bike went for on eBay? I want to see you put some comments down. John will read them off in a little bit. We're gonna go down to the next fact while we wait for those.
Dan, Al, Tom, I see you watching. I expect your comments.
Yeah. Anyway, so let's see. On top of that, Cyndi Lauper sang the Pee Wee Playhouse theme song. That's
Yep.
that's a pretty cool fact. I always like that. Let's see. Two celebrities worked on the Playhouse production as assistants. Do you know who these two famous?
So I think I know one. It's Rob Zombie, right?
That's one of them. Rob Zombie is one of them.
Because he tells the story about the first time he met Paul, and he's like, the first time I met Paul was on the set. He's like, he walked in looking exactly like his movie theater mugshot. He didn't say two words to me, walked away, and he's like, and that was my whole experience with Paul. I'm like, wow, dude. Like, he does not make any bones about it, man. He's like, this is my experience with Paul. Here it is.
There it is. It puts it right out on Front Street, pretty much. All right, so let's see. The next person, I'll give you a hint. He wrote and directed Boys in the Hood.
Why am I having a brain fart on this? Just tell me.
John Singleton.
Singleton. Okay.
Yeah.
I did not know that he was involved with that either.
Yeah, isn't it really weird? Here's another celebrity. And before I do one more little thing before we get to the answer to the eBay question. Another person that made his screen debut in Big Top, all right, was Benicio del Toro, who played Duke the Dog-Faced Boy.
Okay, now you're making me gonna want to go back and finish Big Top Pee Wee because I have to see that. It's funny It's funny that you brought this up because I was just kind of going through because when you had mentioned John Singleton, like I just had a bomb go off in my brain, and I was looking at this, and there's actually an article that I'm going to read that I found that's talking about how Pee Wee's Playhouse actually led to Boys in the Hood, and I want to see how they make that connection. So that's going to be a cool
God, okay.
Yeah,
that is a very interesting. Do you have the article right now, or are you going to read it later?
I'm going to read it later. We're on the show.
Yeah, no, I wasn't sure if you had it prepared. Sorry, I was like, whoa, that was really quick, John. That's impressive. No. Okay, anyway, let's go.
Tell us the eBay. We didn't get any Facebook comments, but that's okay. So
okay.
Tell us how much it went. I say it went for $250,000, 250.
It's a lot lower. I'm actually shocked that it's lower. I'm actually shocked it didn't even break the figures.
Okay. Well, if you're gonna say it's lower, then I'm gonna go with 15, 20.
Oh, you go a little higher than that. You can go a little higher than that.
Oh, well, so 50 to 75?
No, sorry, 36, 600.
Okay.
Yeah.
That does seem low, but then at the same time, it kind of doesn't, because even though Pee Wee is this big entertainment thing, if you really think about it, there's only you've got Gen X, you've got the micro generation that I'm in, then you have millennials, and then you probably have the early Gen Zers, the ones that were born like 87, 88, 89, who caught reruns, or they had an older brother or sister that watched the show, type thing, right? So you've really only got those three generations of people. And if you look at who's got money for that, it's really just going to be like either the Gen Xer to like my micro generation type thing. So I guess it might have been a limited thing. But then again, there's people that just spend ungodly amounts of money to have movie memorabilia. I just thought it would have gone for a little bit more than that. I am surprised that it
I
didn't
am
go for
surprised
more than
too.
that.
I thought that would be. I thought if I had to take a guess, I would say somewhere between like, and I'm talking about diehard movie people because I'm like thinking like that movie was also directed by Tim Burton and all stuff, and so you think the Tim Burton fan base
Yeah,
would also be
yeah,
tied to it.
interesting.
So I
Man,
was
I'm like,
thinking
fuck, I should have bought it for that price.
like
I would have gone and got a loan, paid that shit off in 15 years, whatever. Let me get Pee
instead of a
Wee's
car,
back, man.
instead of a car loan, it's a bike loan.
That's right, man. Ride that shit to work every
You
day.
buy a Toyota? No, a Schwinn.
Yep. It's a custom Schwinn. It's a fucking sweet Schwinn. It's got fucking chains on it to lock this shit up, man.
Oh my god! Yeah, you got to wheel and deal to get the chains as well.
The white painted chains, they weren't the regular bare metal, man. That shit was painted. Everything with Pee Wee was top notch, and it had a purpose. There was not one thing that Pee Wee did with his person, the objects that he owned, the environment that he was in, or even the conversations that he had. Everything with Pee Wee had a purpose, and there was nothing wasted. And I think that's also very unique about the character. And I think that's what helps you accept that type of eccentric character, is that there was nothing wasted. Everything has a reason and purpose with Pee Wee. Even the most minute little thing has a reason. And I think that's also why it was so easy for everybody to accept and love that character relative to other characters, I should say.
Yeah, yeah. Now here's another cool little thing.
Oh, we missed Tom's
Tom's
vote. Tom voted for $1 million.
Million. Tom
He went high on that.
Tom, I would have went with that too, man. I would have went with that too. So you're all good. You're all good. But then before we move on, like I said, we got to talk about his return to Broadway. Or
Yeah.
I mean the Pee Wee Herman show, which went to Broadway for a short amount of time. It got recorded, which is always awesome. So if you're interested in watching that,
is that streaming anywhere?
I don't know if it is,
Or
but
I have to like bootleg that shit at a convention or something.
yeah, I would say you guys need it. We have to find it. But the Pee Wee Herman show also premiered on Broadway, so I assume it's much the same thing. Ooh, I just found where can you watch? Hold on.
Amazon's got it.
Amazon's got it. Okay,
Yeah,
right.
rental fee.
Then that would be worth it. But that's pretty cool that they did he did a revival of that in 2010. That's pretty awesome.
Yeah. This is a recording from 2011. Damn, it's an hour and a half long. That's longer than the original one was. The original was like 55 minutes or something.
Well, and the best part is it's updated because it has like modern references to iPads.
I'm gonna watch that.
Yeah. No, this is so cool. This is like
I'm absolutely gonna watch that.
And it was in the Stephen Sondheim Theater, which that to me is so cool because I love Stephen Sondheim. So I'm like, oh, that's awesome. But that's so. But like I said, his show, I would have loved to see a show live. Like that would have been so. That must have been so like just crazy because like the energy. I mean, even Phil Lamar played Cowboy Curtis instead of
Fishburne.
Yeah, that's
which he did the show. He did the Pee Wee's Playhouse.
He did a Playhouse show, yeah. But I was just saying, like, oh, Lamar's in this. That's pretty cool.
The crazy thing is, though, is that like when I was a kid, I didn't watch the stage show first. I watched Pee Wee's Big Adventure when it came out, and then subsequently Pee Wee's Playhouse. Then as an adult, now there were a couple of times where I went back, but when you're a kid, you either don't stick with something the whole time, you don't fully remember it, it's just one of those things. So I didn't like have a ton of memory of the show. So when I went back and watched it, I was like, Jesus, they got so much from the original show from Playhouse, way more than I ever recognized. And that immediately made me appreciate it more because he took care of those people that got him started and were a part of his show, those ideas, the actors, the characters, taking that and transitioning it to a larger budget network show. And yeah, it was for kids, but Saturday morning was prime time, folks, back in the 80s and the 90s.
It was.
That shit was prime. That was like Thursday nights now. Like that shit was prime fucking time. And it was not cheap. And if you had a good show, you were on top of the world. So the fact that he took that and brought as much of that to Pee Wee's Playhouse as he could, like as an adult, I respect Paul for doing that, for taking care of his people and saying, "Hey, I'm doing this show now. I want you to come over here." He could have easily been like, "Fuck you all. I got the money now. I got the power now, and I'm going to do what I want." But it's like, "No, man, we're just going to take this shit and pick it up and we're going to move it over here. Yeah, a couple things will be added. Yeah, a couple things will be changed. But for the most part, it's a lift and shift, man." So I highly respect him for that as well, because there are plenty of entertainers that take care of their people, but there's also plenty of people who forget where they came from.
Mhm.
We're not here to debate that, but that's a statement of fact. And I did appreciate, as an adult, I do appreciate that he was able to bring as much of that as he could. It's little things like that that kind of give me that elevated level of respect, because I don't know. For me, it's kind of like, don't forget where you came from and take care of your people. And I try to do that in real life. So when I see an entertainer do that and it's genuine, I'm like, okay, here we go. This is good, right? So that was a little bit of a long-winded explanation, but
No, that's fine, man. No, you're speaking the truth about him. It's very much, that he did take care of people. I mean,
yeah.
it
And look,
it
everybody's a
wasn't
dick.
true.
Everybody is a dick. Nobody's not a dick. Everyone is a dick. So if Rob Zombie had his only experience with him was he was a dick, fine. Because I'm pretty sure there's plenty of people whose only experience with Rob Zombie was he was a dick.
Yep.
Okay, like I get that. I understand that. I get that. But that doesn't mean that that's who that person was all the time. People have ebb and flows. They go up and they go down, right? And certainly Paul is not exempt from any of that. I mean, we all know,
Yeah.
the infamous theater type stuff, and
Yeah.
it is what it is. You have two different opinions. Somebody said I don't care, and somebody says yeah, it was terrible. But look, at the end of the day, it led to him basically being all the way up here and plummeted all the way down. And you feel bad for the guy.
Mhm.
Kind of you don't, but for the most part you do. Or maybe it's just me. I don't know. I mean, he's a grown adult. He was in a location with certain things playing that other people do in those areas. Now I get he's a celebrity, he's on a pedestal, he's doing a kids show. So that was like pretty much the worst thing you could have done. But he didn't, dateline anybody, he didn't pedo any kids, I mean, it was him doing his thing. But you know, I I wish that something different would have happened, so that not necessarily we could have seen Pee Wee stretched out, because nobody wants to see that. Nobody wants to see 15 years of Pee Wee's Playhouse. But I wasn't when that happened, and I was old enough to completely understand what happened. Um, I wasn't done with Pee Wee. I wanted more Pee Wee. If that was another stage show, another movie, a different TV show, an animated show, whatever. I just wanted more Pee Wee, and when Pee Wee never came back, it was just kind of like there was a void. And I know there's people that are either watching live or they're going to be watching this later, and they're going to be like, "Yes, I know what you're talking about." And I mean, I'm not saying like the world was over when Pee Wee went away, but when Pee Wee went away, there was definitely a void for a little while,
Oh yeah.
and that kind of sucked, man. That kind of sucked, and that's why it was a very satisfactory feeling when the show came back. And then when we got Pee Wee's Big Holiday, we got the love letter, the send off, the goodbye to the character, and it was sad. It was sad, but yet it was happy at the same time, because it's like, again, what happened, and it's just like we had this huge void, and then
Mhm.
we get the send off, and it's just like, man, what would we have gotten if we would have gotten more along the way? Would we have gotten another Tim Burton film? I'd like to think we would have. I really do. I really feel like in the
Oh yeah.
like late 90s to early 2000s, that would have been prime for another Burton Pee Wee film. Oh, that
Yeah.
would have been prime time for that. It would have been great too.
No, definitely. And like, but I mean, also, I mean, like I said, there always has to be a silver lining to other things. He was able to branch out and do other stuff as well. That was the
Right.
one.
And so let's talk about some of that other stuff because I can say, and I know we didn't even really talk about Pee Wee's Playhouse that much, but just understand that it was the greatest kid show of that time. And it didn't matter what was going on in your life. If you were old enough to know what Pee Wee was, your ass was watching that show every Saturday morning. You went out and bought the toys. My brother had the fucking scooter. That thing was awesome to ride around the neighborhood on. So it was a big deal. Pee Wee's Playhouse was a big deal. And when it went away, like I said, there was definitely a void. And I just wish that whole thing would have happened differently because, man, we could have got some more good stuff out of that.
Oh,
anyways, I don't want to keep rehashing that. So let's spend the last little bit of our time talking about some of the other Paul Reubens roles that we liked and that we thought were good. Because I've got a couple, and I know you and I agree on a few, Jesse. But I've got one that maybe you might have forgotten about.
all right. Well, I want so let's I guess we can talk about this first one. This is more just for the comic book fans and everything.
Put it up there. Put it up there.
Yeah. But basically, hold on, I'm still looking for the picture and everything. It is hard to find some of these pictures. Hold on, because there's two of them technically. That he played Oswald Cobblepot's father, aka the Penguin's father, but he did it twice. That's what's so interesting about this. He did it twice. He did it one time in Tim Burton's Batman Returns, and then he did it again later in Gotham, which I always found that so interesting.
I didn't watch Gotham. I've been talking myself into maybe giving it a shot, but I'm telling you, I just fucking hated the costume so much I couldn't bring myself.
Oh, it's bullshit. No, I'm not gonna lie.
I love you as the biggest Batman fan ever. You're just like, it's bullshit, and I can tell in your undertone you're like, don't waste your time. So
dude, he doesn't suit up until the very last episode.
I know, and it's not even like I get it. And that Bane costume was atrocious.
It's
like,
bullshit.
Oh my god,
that whole thing is bullshit.
Oh man, dude, he looks just as good even without the monocle. He still looks like Oswald Cobblepot's dad.
He's
dude,
great
so
in this.
good.
He because first time we see him as Penguin's dad, man. We see he has the kid. He's like, "Ooh, I don't like that. That's going in the water."
Yeah, we're gonna drown this thing.
It's like the beginning of Prince of Egypt, but let the basket tip. You know what I mean? Like, let that shit tip.
Oh my god, Jesse, you're a terrible person.
And then this one, it's like after Carol Kane plays Mrs. Cobblepot, she has died, and
okay.
and Penguin's like at the grave, and then he shows up. His last name is Cobblepot. It's something rich and fancy. It's what is it? It's so pretentious when I say it.
Now, did he change that to separate himself from the Penguin, or was there a different reason for the change?
Like Oswald Cobblepot's mom was kind of a hit it and quit it kind of deal.
Nice.
He just didn't know he got her pregnant.
Good job, Mr. Cobblepot.
He just didn't. He didn't know his name was Elijah. His name's Elijah Van Dahl. Elijah Van Dahl. So what happens is Penguin's sitting at his mother's grave, like, I miss you, Mom. I miss you so much. And then he shows up out of nowhere. He's like, I wish I could have been at the funeral. And I'm like, he's just kind of showing up. Like, I guess I'm in town. I wanted some ass. She's dead, but I'm gonna go visit her anyways because it was the best ass I ever got. That's kind of the reason why he's at the grave. And then he's like, wait, you're his kid? And they're like, yeah, I am. Oh my god, that makes me like your father. And that's how it goes.
Okay, so Jesse, can I just YouTube these couple of scenes and get my fill so that I don't have to actually watch Gotham? I could just watch key scenes and then be like, I got my
3 episodes.
He's 3 episodes. God damn it.
3 episodes. But it's a good arc. It's a great arc.
He has
a great arc. Even though it's a very pointless arc, it's a really good arc. I have to say the guy who plays the Penguin in that show was a standout for me because like
Really? Okay.
the guy who played the Penguin, he was because the first. I don't want to give it away. If you watch the show for what it is, it's a good show. When they start to try and make it into a Batman show, it just points out how it's missing Batman.
Oh, dude, Robin Lord Taylor. Are you serious? I didn't know that.
He's great. He's great. I think he was one of the most standout
Oh
performances.
shit. Okay.
He's a standout performance. So if you watch it,
Huh.
watch it for him. He's definitely
Okay.
he brings and the guy who plays the Riddler second to none. Wow.
Okay. So 3 episode arc. That's it, right?
That's it. That's all he's got.
Okay. I'll watch for that. I feel like I don't have to watch up to that point. I feel like I could probably just watch those 3 episodes and be good, right?
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, basically just know that Penguin, he's just like, I miss my mom. My mom's dead. And then he shows up like best piece of ass I ever had. Like, wait,
Okay.
you're my
Gotcha.
son? Like, that's pretty much how it goes.
So I love the way, like, I like how these two different, we'll just say Mr. Cobblepot to make it easier, because I'm
Mr.
not going to get
Cobblepot.
the Van
It's
Leeuwen
Mr.
Dewey
Cobblepot.
Huey.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's Mr. Cobblepot, okay? And he's got money, so it's definitely Mr. And plus, any motherfucker wearing a monocle gets the Mr. greeting.
Gets the Mister.
Okay, I mean, he's the Monopoly guy. You call him Mr. Mr. Cobblepot, okay? I love the way Paul looks as both of the Cobblepot characters because they're both different, but there's also similarities between them. I also like that they're at 2 different points in his lifespan because I think his age on the character helps define that. And I'm just having fun imagining what it would be like if it was old Paul as Batman Returns Cobblepot and young Paul as Gotham Cobblepot. I'm trying to picture it and see like, that might look kind of cool, you know?
It is. He's a very interesting character arc. It was kind of fun to watch. If you want to see Paul Reubens do something different, which he's always doing something different,
He is.
It's a definite fun watch. It's a definite fun watch for him to do that. Now let's push on to other roles that he had. What role would you like to talk about at this point?
So Tom Balin nailed it in the comments with Buffy the Vampire Slayer when he's Lotho's lackey. I forget his name, honestly, because it doesn't matter. He's the comic relief, and he has one of the best death scenes, as Tom puts it in here, that's ever been filmed in any movie ever. And if you have not seen the original Buffy the Vampire Slayer film with Christy Swanson and Luke Perry.
God rest that man's soul. I forget that's Luke Perry.
Dude, man, David Arquette showing up.
I always forget that.
Man, like, dude,
he's on the cover too.
That was Hilary Swank's first like feature film, if I'm not mistaken. Ooh. That was her first big one. Was Buffy, because she was in several scenes.
Oh, you Buffy, know that.
Which led that to her progressing in her career. So look at Paul as a vampire with a goatee and long hair, dude. Dope. Leather jacket, absolutely. Oh, you got the comment thing figured out. There you go.
Yeah. It finally all started showing up just now. Sorry about that, guys.
So yeah, and just the fact that it's comical, she stabs him with like a yardstick that's been filed down. Okay, it wasn't even like a fancy, steak or anything. He's just like, and he just like, and then he'll go away, and then he'll like pop up on the other side of the room, and be like, and then like the movie ends, the credits go, and then it's a mid-credit scene. He pops up again, and he's like punching and kicking the wall, pissed off and shit. Still not actually dying, and then we go back to finish out the credits. It's like one of the best death scenes ever filmed in any movie, dude. I'm tearing up just thinking about it because it's funny, man.
Yeah, no. Like I said, just the way he looks. I mean, look at the 3 images. The 4 images we brought up. Pee Wee, both Cobblepots, and this. Like, move over, Gary Oldman. This is range.
Look, and I think that you bring up a good point, because now we can talk about. I know we're kind of jumping around in interest of time.
Okay.
But we could jump over to Mystery Men, because that's a bigger one, because it wasn't a cameo or just a one scene. He was a secondary character. Like, he had a prominent role in that film. And when you look at that among all the other roles, Paul was always able to master a different look in each one of his films. Even in Flight of the Navigator, where he's just doing voice acting, he's not doing the Pee Wee voice, he's not doing the Paul voice.
Hold on, I'm
He's
pulling the
doing a
picture up.
completely different voice. And so I think that's also when I go back to kind of that period where Pee Wee just disappeared and we got nothing forever. Um, I feel like if that had gone differently, right now you can tell that that's Paul when you look at the picture, but if you look at the character, I mean, he's hideous. He's got this weird like mullet, but it's not a mullet thing. All these like boils and like
Hair is
zit and
greasy and like
gross breath. His teeth, like he's fart. I'm sure he sharts all the time when he farts. But again, it is a very unique character. And when you look at Paul's roles, he didn't settle into a typecasted role. And that's why I think it's also a shame for that whole period of time where we got nothing. Because think about the other, even just in film, roles that this man could have done. Ah, man, it's just, I don't know. Like, I get it, but I think it's terrible at the same time.
yeah.
I think he got crucified more than he should have, but I understand because it was the whole kids thing. And look, totally get it. I'm not saying it's not just, but I just think it might have been a little much. But that's just my own opinion.
The one thing I do want to bring up, another movie is Dustin Checks In. That was
Dude,
like
Duncan checks in. Oh my god, man!
like
I think I went to the theater to see that.
like that movie. That movie had like the craziest cast. I didn't even think about it until recently. Oh, I'm trying to pull up the picture. But like I was just thinking about it, and I'm like, this cast. Oh man, won't let me open this picture. Hold on a second. It's
Dude,
like it
Faye
has like
Dunaway, Rupert Everett, Jason Alexander,
like
Paul Reubens.
just the craziest,
Oh, dude.
just the craziest. Like who
Oh
would put
man,
all these people in one movie?
right?
And it's like they did,
They did.
and I love it. And like just, but what I love about this movie was like how dead serious his character was. I don't even remember what his goal was the whole movie. I know he's looking for the monkey, but it's like he's like just like crawling under tables in that one scene. He's like keeps saying the word Pongo Pygmaeus. He's like saying everything.
There was another movie where he had a character role where I think he played like an undercover cop, but but it was only
Oh,
it,
I know
it
what
was
you're
only
talking
like a
about.
couple of scenes. That it wasn't like a whole thing. Why can't I think of the name of that movie though?
No, I remember this
Do you
movie.
know what I'm talking about?
I know exactly what movie you're talking about.
Why can't I remember the name of the movie?
It's it's such a small
I
role.
know, and it's like right on the tip of my tongue, and I just can't get it. Oh
Hold
my
on, let
god.
me go
I
back
hate
and
when this happens. This happens all the
well,
time.
let's go. Wait, let me look at this movie. Let me look at this movie list. We're gonna
Don't get
find
old,
this.
kids, because this will happen to you. You forget shit.
Okay, I know this movie. Okay, let's see. Matilda, that's the
Oh,
movie.
yes, yes,
She's
there it
the
was.
FBI
Yeah,
agent.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
I knew exactly. I was like, I
Great
know.
film, by the way. And again, great role for Paul to be in a film like that. That type of character, a little eccentric, but he's still like a cop. Like again, like
He's just a hard ass. He's kind of a hard ass. He's just like he's very no nonsense. He's just like,
yeah,
and then he's getting into verbal barbs with Matilda. You know what I mean? They have that camera, his partner, and them are just sitting outside Danny DeVito's house.
yeah.
They're really hardcore. Like it's so funny how stereotypical their FBI agents were. Like they played like if you were like stereotype FBI agents, like that's what I think of now. But oh my god, I'm so glad you brought up the cop thing.
Well, I mean, Matilda is a great book by Roald Dahl. Read it if you haven't. Most people read it in elementary school, and definitely check out the film because the film's great with a great cast. And Paul is in it. I'm glad we both finally remembered that. Okay, we've got like, I don't know, a minute left. Tom also said don't forget about Blow. That's actually a film I need to rewatch. It has been a really long time since I've watched that, and I feel like I should rewatch that. So thank you for that reminder, Tom. Any other Paul related stuff other than saying once again it's a shame that we had this whole void for so many years that we just could have had some more greatness.
Let's see. I'm trying to look. I'm just like trying to look at. I mean, we pretty much nailed all the movies. I mean, like I mean, he's in other ones. He did a voice in The Nightmare Before Christmas. He was in a sequel to Meatballs, Flight of the Navigator. But like he did a lot of TV shows as well. Besides his TV show, I mean, he was in Reno 911. Everybody Loves Raymond. 30 Rock.
Reno
30 Rock. He plays one of the goofiest characters ever.
So full transparency, and we can get into this we could do a TV show that we like, didn't like episode. Actually, that'd be really fun to do. I didn't like that show. So
That's okay.
I get, it's like when I say I didn't like The Office. I understand people want to crucify me, and that's fine. I tried. It just never clicked.
It's that show is either for you or it's not for you.
It's not that I didn't. It's not that I didn't like it or didn't think it was good. It just didn't click for me. So I was just like, meh.
So
but
can I tell you
in a bad way.
Can I tell you his arc?
Oh my God, dude. I love it already. Holy shit.
Okay. So here's what it is. He plays, okay.
That's hilarious.
He plays this prince, and he is like the result of hundreds and hundreds of years of inbreeding. Like his hair is falling out, his eyebrows
is
are
that
falling
why
out.
he has a small hand?
He has it's a porcelain hand. He's in a wheelchair. He looks like a puppet. He's like, and like he's like narcoleptic. He'll like fall asleep randomly, and then he can't talk correctly. He's like, "Everybody, it's my birthday."
That's pretty funny, man.
Dude, and then at one point, the one main character is like, "Oh, if I'm married to him, he'll be dead in a few years, and I will be, I'll be a princess, and I'll be a queen of the country." And then he's like, "Oh, thank you for coming to my birthday party. This is the best 21st birthday ever."
You might win me over on this episode, okay?
Dude,
this is damn funny.
If anything, just watch this episode. It's so goofy. It's just Paul Reubens being as Paul Reubens as possible. Hell, they could have done a spin-off of this character, and we could have watched that, and I would have been okay with that. Like, just him running a country as a prince who's suffering from generations of inbreed.
With the little porcelain hand. I'm about to die over that. So,
like, at the one part he's blowing out the candles, here's how he blows. He goes, he's spitting on everything.
That is pretty funny too.
Just check out the episode. Make that. Don't watch it because you watch it for Paul Reubens.
No, I got you.
Watch it for Paul Reubens. But anyways, thank you guys so much for joining us, man. Tom, thanks for the nice thing. That's really
thanks, Tom.
Like I said, we were fans of this guy. Ken and Hour covered this guy's career. No, not at all.
No.
Like, we spent the first 40 minutes on Pee Wee, and we still wanted to talk about Pee Wee. Yeah, I mean, there was more we could have done.
Yeah, absolutely.
But thank you guys so much for tuning in and blowing up the comment section. We do appreciate it. This is airing right now on YouTube, Facebook. Make sure you like and subscribe wherever you are, and tune in next week. We'll be back with a new episode. The topic will be announced tomorrow on our website. Until then, I'm Jesse.
And I'm John.
And you've been sitting at the grown-ups table. Thank you, and have an awesome night, everybody. Take care. Take care.